my God. Y'all so messed up, y'all. Hey everyone, I am Yvette Lloyd, host of Life Her Podcast. We have a special guest with us today, and we have Kay Ready. Hey Kay, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I am doing good. I am really doing good. Thank you so much for being on Life Her Podcast this afternoon. This is quite early. I normally don't even have podcasts this early, but I kind of like it though.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be on here. Looking forward to our conversation on today.
Yes, definitely. So we just want to get right into it. Could you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes, my name is Kay Reddy, and let's see, I am a wife, a mom, a grandmother. I'm a business owner. I love coaching women, working with women. I'm also a managing broker under the umbrella of real estate.
Wow. So you're doing a lot.
Yes, I'm busy.
Man, so how do you maintain, like how do you juggle all of that?
Yeah, that's a very great question because some days are better than others. But I think what has really, really helped me is hiring an assistant. So I have a virtual assistant. And so that keeps me on task each and every day. Like I said, some days I do get off, but I think that has been the key to my organization and being able to juggle and balance all of that because he definitely keeps me on track and on point.
Wow. So I want to take it backwards on how were things growing up? I know you became a teen mom, and so that is like very life changing. So how did those things come about as far as you just becoming an entrepreneur and knowing that you're going to beat the odds from being a teen mom?
Yes. So just like you said, I was a teen mom. I had my son when I was 16 years old. It kind of stemmed from, so let me just kind of take you back just a little bit. I come from a single parent home. So it was my mom and my siblings. So I didn't have a father in the home. I was a little rebellious when I was in my teen years. And so I just decided that, one day, you know what? I'm just sick and tired of this lady's rules, right? Talking about my mom. My mom is an amazing mom. She did the best that she could with
Right.
what she had. But it was me, right? Like just being rebellious, just going through a lot of different things. And so I decided, like, look, I don't want to abide by these rules anymore. I just want to do me. That resulted in me leaving home. I came back and forth, and then one day I was like, you know what, I'm just done with this. I think I was 15, right? What can a 15-year-old do out on their own?
Yeah.
So I left home. I had met this guy, met him on this craziness, and as a result of that I became pregnant. Very, 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 very abusive relationship. And I faced death several times.
Wow.
um
That
in in,
young?
in all of that young,
Wow.
in all of that. You're talking about being, I don't know how deep you want me to get into my story, but
Deep.
you're talking about being 15 turning 16. Like I said, I had my son when I was 16. I had him in September. I turned 16 in January of the same year. But you're talking about being faced with a lot of stuff, like being homeless. And all of this was because of my own actions, right? This was not something that I had to do. It was a decision that I made, like, look, I don't want to be here. And so I left. And as a result of my disobedience, and as a result of me feeling like at 15, 16, that, look, I can do this thing. I can be the adult that I thought I wanted to be at that time. It just led to so many different things, happening to me. And some of the stuff I can literally remember like it was just yesterday. And so, like I said, being in a position to being in a very abusive relationship, and when I say very abusive, physical abuse, emotional abuse, all of that, mental abuse, just going through all of that. So I don't know if your viewers can even imagine what that is like at the age of 16 years old and facing having your life taken from you multiple times, but literally by the grace of God that I am here, on today, and just kind of going through that. And so, I dropped out of high school. I went to high school, completed the ninth grade. After that, I said, I can't do this. Because I had a lot of things on my plate. Instead of me just saying, you know what, take yourself back home, right?
Right.
Take yourself home. I didn't, I just was so caught up in so much, so just emotionally destroyed, mentally destroyed, until finally it was like, you know what, you got to do something different as far as you now cannot just think about yourself. Like you have another little person that you have a responsibility for. And it was at that time that I decided I didn't even go back home. I went to my grandmother. That's where I went. I went and I stayed with my grandmother and my grandfather. And that is kind of where I continued on until, I decided, to get married and do all those things. But, just thinking back, like I couldn't imagine today, you know what I'm saying, having to go through that at that age. But literally, like I said, the things that people wouldn't imagine, the things that I was faced with, the things that I saw, the things, and like I said, it literally is just by the grace of God that I can sit here today and even be able to tell my story.
Right. Because that's just so young of you just enduring all of that. Like, how did your family feel when you were going through that? Or did you keep it, like, did you hide it, keep it a secret, and, just was like, I'm going to deal with this on my own? Or did they actually know what was going on within your relationship with your child's father?
In the beginning, no. Like I literally kept it hid. And it's so crazy because when I look back today, I'm kind of like looked back and be like, man, not even thinking about like the pain, the agony, the everything that I caused to my mom, just because it was days that she didn't even know where I was, you know what I'm saying? Whether I was alive, where she didn't know anything, and let alone didn't even know. And I still don't know how much of my story she really knows. But so it was very hard for them when they, and I, like I said, I don't know at what point they actually found out everything. I think my grandparents knew a little bit more than my actual mom, because I think the day that I went to my grandmother's house, I went to my grandmother's house with a swollen lip and a bruise. So that's when I went to my grandmother's house. So at that point I had to say, like, this is, I'm like, I gotta come home. I'm like, but I don't want to go home. But I knew that my grandmother's place was home. And so, having that hard conversation and watching their face. But, I think sometimes we can be a product of what we see, not to necessarily get so deep into my story, but and
Right.
into my mom. But I watched my mom go through an abusive relationship early on as a child. And
Oh,
so having that, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes some things become generational. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I didn't know anything. Like
you
to
thinking
me
that's
at that age, that was love.
right. Right. You was thinking it was normal. That was a way of someone showing you that they love you.
Right. And I think oftentimes, and people always ask, like, well, how could you stay? How could you not? And for me, and when I hear people say that to even other women who have been abused, if you have never been in that situation, you honestly don't understand. Because not only is it physical, but it's also emotional, it's a mental. When somebody has control of your mind, whether it's fear, whether it's control, whatever it is, sometimes that is a very hard barrier to break.
Yes, it is. It definitely is hard. What made you have the decision on going to your grandparents' house and not your mom's? And did you stay in contact with your mother?
I did stay in contact with my mom. I don't know. Like I said, I was just kind of in a rebellious state. I don't, and I still try to wonder about that. Like, was I mad at my mom? Like, kind of what it
Mhm.
was, because, like I said, she did everything that she could. Like, she was a single mom. She sacrificed
Right.
so much. But I don't know. I think with going to my grandmother's house, it was just me and my grandparents. So it was just me, my child, and my grandparents. There was no other siblings that was there, so I'm gonna get like all the attention, that I need. I was the oldest grandchild. And so I knew that if I went to my grandparents' house, that I would get the attention that I need and everything. And plus my grandparents, they spoiled me. So I think that was just kind of like probably one of like the reasons why I went to my grandparents' house, but definitely kept in contact, with my mom and, all of that. Like we would talk all the time. We would see each other. We still had a mother-daughter relationship, but it was just kind of like from that point in my life is where I spent from there until, with my grandparents.
Right. So
Yeah.
during that whole process, you end up eventually you did you end up getting a high school diploma or GED or anything and started shifting your life into something different for you?
Yes, I did go back to get my GED. And it's like the crazy thing is like I could have finished high school, right? Like I was not a bad student or anything, but I did say, you know what? I do need to at least go back to get my GED. And I did do that. And I did it in the same year in which I was supposed to graduate from high school.
That's good.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I did it. They, had the graduation and everything. So I did feel that it was important that I at least do that. And then I tried to like venture off and do college. I enrolled in college and all of that. I never got a degree, although I have like credits. I may have close to enough maybe for an associate's degree, but I just never. I started working and just kind of I just never kind of took it a step further as far as a physical degree goes.
Okay. So how did you become K ready?
Wow, that's a very interesting question because, listen, it was a lot of work. So, if you want to know how I became K Ready, who K Ready is today, let me tell you, it was a lot of work because I didn't really believe in myself. I didn't even know who I was. And ironically, I didn't understand who I was until in the last 5 years, which people are probably like, oh my
Wow,
God,
it takes a
that's
long time.
time.
Yes.
So, I was so from that until who I am now, it took a lot of determination, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of failures. Okay, a lot of failures, a lot of me starting stuff and stopping stuff, a lot of me wondering like, am I even built for this? Like, who am I? Who was I created to be? Like, you know what? I knew at one point I knew that I did not want to be who society thought that I should be. Because when you look at someone that's a teen mom, a high school dropout, been through an abusive relationship, homeless, like all these things, society tend to dictate that your future is supposed to be a certain way. And I was determined to not allow my past to paralyze me, to stop me where I was, and to keep me from moving forward. And I understood that everything that I have been through has pushed me to my purpose. That even when I was in everything that I was going through, and trust me, between this point of what we just talked about until now, there were so many more other
Oh,
things
I
that
know.
I had to go through, that I had to get through, family, marriage, finances, mental, so many other things that I had to go through in order to get to where I am. But I think what helped me was definitely my faith in God. That has literally, I know that that has kept me from all these years and has me in the position and where I am right now, because I do understand that if it wasn't for God's grace, that I would not be where I am, because let life tell it, I should have been dead a long time ago,
Right.
multiple times. And so just having the determination, because for one, at that time I had my son, now I have four children.
Okay.
um, they're all adults. I got married when I was 21, so I got married very young. And so just having my children literally has been my motivation. In order to let me know that, look, there is more in life. You have something to live for, because for a very long time I didn't really feel like I had anything to live for until I had my son. And when I had my son, he was literally like my best friend. So because my son and I were like 16 years apart, but that literally kept me sane. Ironic as it sounds, it kept me sane. It kept me wanting to live. It kept me wanting to move forward. And as I had other children, my children became my why. They became like why you have to succeed. And another driving force was because of how we grew up, having to put things on layaway, having to go without, having to watch my mom, sacrifice the things that she needed in order for us to have, and her going without. I was like, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be in this position. And so I had to make a decision that, look, you have a choice. What are you going to do? And that's what led me to, feeling like, I'm like, okay, I did the job thing, no knock on jobs, because you have to do what you have to do. But I was like, okay, I was not born for this. I know that I was born for something different. And that's when my curiosity peaked for entrepreneurship. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna try. And let me tell you, I tried everything, from selling makeup to doing nails to doing hair to selling weight. I did it all, just trying to find that
Right.
thing.
And
And
it's nothing wrong with trying to find. A lot of times we go through different changes on what we want to do in our lives. I've done the same thing. I changed my major in college so many times. I have different careers now, different things that I do. But it's nothing like doing something that you're passionate about, and it just sticks to you like glue. And then you just find yourself flourishing so much into what you do. And then it end up becoming, you wake up happy to do it. You just like, okay, I'm about to get my day started. It's about to go. You just feel good about it. So I'm sure that's how you feel once you end up finding your niche on exactly what you want to do with your career goals as far as being an entrepreneur, because you've done a lot. You've done a lot, and you're still doing a lot, but it works for you. It's what you want to do, and it's all things that you love to do.
no, absolutely. And I think too, now the lot that I do, it all complements each other.
Yes,
So it all intertwines. And so for that, it doesn't feel like I'm doing so many different things, because they all work together. And I think that is the key, that's created the harmony in what it is that I do, because it all works together.
it does. It definitely do. Now, as far as like you unlocking your power, I understand you have been through a lot, and people sometimes don't understand how storms work when you actually elevate from a storm, and when it keep coming over and over again. you start to learn the process of a storm, and you start to have your faith runs a little different. Could you explain to people how much faith you have within yourself and how long it actually took for you to actually understand what God is doing for you instead of to you?
That's really good because oftentimes that's the way that we feel, that God is doing something to us, not necessarily for us or through us. And so when I say years, it's that process has been years. It literally, like I said, it wasn't until probably, well, I don't, it was what, 2018 when I met this couple, Dr. West and Dr. Shantae Warren, and they're pastors. They're actually my pastors, and just from being up under them and them speaking into my life, it's something about when someone can see in you what you don't see in yourself. But not
Yes.
only do they see in you what you don't see in yourself, they're not jealous of it, they're not
Yes.
offended by it, they're not intimidated with it, but yet they're encouraged by it and
Mhm.
they push you in it, and they shape you and train you, and to helping you see what it is, and they cheer you on and they motivate you and they want you to be who they see that you are, and helping you to understand that. That is what happened for me, because I have been in a lot of situations where people saw in me what I didn't see in myself, but what they did was, instead of pushing me, the other people put a cap on me and tried to keep me at where they wanted me to be. And for a very long time, that is where I was. And literally, it wasn't until I met them, Dr. West and Dr. Shantae, that cap was removed and I was able to become and understand who I was, to understand that, listen, you are not crazy, lady. Because I would see things, I would hear things, but I didn't understand what it was. And so being up under their leadership, being up under their training and everything has really allowed me to see, like, okay, this is why I had to go through majority of the things that I had to go through, because this is what God wants to do with me. This is who I am, and how to overcome being afraid of who I really was, because I was afraid of who I was because it was uncomfortable. I
Yes.
didn't know how people were going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
It went against what I had been taught.
Yep.
And so for me, that was a struggle.
I
But
bet.
when I tell you, once I discovered, and I'm still discovering, so I haven't discovered it fully, but I have accepted it, and I have, and I'm on that path. But once I understood who I was and who God had created me to be, it was okay. No bars, no chains. I have to bust free. I have to break free, because I understand that there is power on the inside of me. And just like I tell a lot of my clients, is listen, how long, because we all have an element of power on the inside of us, whether we know it or not. We
Yeah.
just have to tap into it and live that thing out. And so I tell my clients, how long are you going to wait, make others wait? You waiting is making other people who are attached to you, it's causing them to wait, because they're waiting on you. How long are you going to make them wait? They're waiting on what's on the inside of you. So the quicker you realize what it is that you have on the inside of you, the happier you'll be, the freer you'll be, and the better you will be for other people. And that's the point that I had to come to, that listen, it's so much on the inside of me. I may not understand it. I may not even know what to do with it all, but look, I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. And I'm getting ready to tap in. And that's what I did. And that's what helped me with the 3 Ps. I don't know if that's where we're getting ready to go. Am I ahead of myself?
Girl, you can go unlock it, girl.
That's how I was literally, I was in prayer one day and I'm like, listen, God, like God. And we were, me and God talking about power and the power that's on the inside. See, listen, God created us all and he created us all with our own special blend. We have our own, everything that makes us who we are. We just have to understand how to get to it. And so the first thing that was required of me was to get into prayer. So that was the first P. It was to get into prayer because who knows me better than the one who created me? He
Yeah.
knows what he put in me. He knows what he has for me. And so it was no need for me to go to anybody else to try to figure it out. I went to the one who created me. I had to go back to the owner of me to figure it out. And so after much prayer and like, okay, God, I need you to show me. I'm the one that, okay, you have to talk to me plain, like just show me, let me see it. I want to be clear. I want to understand it. You don't have to hide it somewhere for me to find. Just make it plain, and that's what he did. And then it was like, okay, so once you pray and you understand who you are, and God begins to reveal to you, whether He reveals it to you in a dream, whether He reveals it to you while you're in prayer, whether He reveals it to you through someone else, you will know. And from that, I had to start to proclaim. So I had to begin to speak because what I understand is that there is power that lies right here. That the things that I say can create things to shift if I say it and I believe that it was going to take place. So that's what I had to do. I had to begin to proclaim. I had to begin to say who I was, because sometimes we get so, we are like afraid of who we are. When you see who you are and you see what God has for you, sometimes it can be fearful. You can become fearful. It could frighten you. And so I just began to talk to myself, is what I say. Like it's voice activated. Some
Yeah.
things you have to activate with your own voice. And so I had to do that whole series of standing in the mirror, even being uncomfortable. Like, no, you are pretty. Like, no, you are capable. You were born for this. Like, you were created for this. Nothing can stop you. Like, you are a child of God. Like, so I had to go through that process to talk to myself, because even in that, when you begin to talk to yourself, at first you might be a little bit shaky. You might be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
First, it feels weird, seems weird. I don't even believe what I'm saying. But trust me, the more you continue to speak, because we know that words have power, the more you begin to speak, the more you're going to begin to believe it. And the more that you believe it, it is definitely going to do something to your self-esteem. It's going to do something to your posture. That's the third P, your posture and your position. You're going to begin to get into a new mode. Listen, I didn't recognize myself after a point in time. I was like, is this who I am?
Okay.
Like, is this who like, what took me so long, right? Because it's so freeing. Like, I feel so free. Like, it doesn't matter what other people think about me. It don't matter what other people say about me. When you know who you are, when you know who you have created, who you were created to be, you can do whatever you set your mind to. And so now I don't have to be afraid to go into rooms where people say I wasn't supposed to be in. I don't have to be afraid to talk to people who otherwise people would be like, you would never be around those type of people. You would never be in that room. But here's what I know, is that what God has for me is for me. And guess what? I am no longer ashamed, because I used to be ashamed of my voice, right? I used to be ashamed, like, I'm going to be, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to do, like, Lord, I know you told me to say this, but no. I am, and I know a lot of people use this word, but listen, I am going to be unapologetic about who I was created to be, who I am. Why? Because there's a multitude of other women who was waiting for me to step into my God-given purpose. Why? So that I can help them do the same thing. So that I can help them unlock the power that's on the inside of them sooner than I was able to unlock it for myself.
You know what, Kay? You have said a lot to a point. Um, it could be so helpful if it helps for people to really understand it. Especially like when prayer, like we could pray so much of so many things that we want in life. However, we still have to do the work.
That's right.
And a lot of times we get upset with God because we feel like He's not answering our prayers. But how is He going to answer them when we're not doing nothing about it? We have to take those steps to be able to push forward and move forward in life and understand, ask God to heal us in certain areas and let ourselves become healed. We can't resist it when He's actually giving it to us, and we're like string along on so many things, but we really have to understand that he will give us anything if he see that we really want it, and we got to keep going with it. And just saying, as far as just proclaiming and the power of your tongue and everything, a lot of people don't understand your words are so powerful to a point you can either receive blessings or block them. So you have to understand those two things when you're doing that, because you will mess around and you will lose a lot in life, and you'll be blaming yourself and other people and other things around you when it's actually you using your tongue the wrong way, when you need to use it the right way. And then, us having those gut feelings, we need to understand the difference between the gut and our fear. So it's like it's two different things where we just have to just keep going in life. And it is so hard, but it takes so much time, so much strength, so much belief, so much faith. It takes a lot. It's discipline. All of that is just discipline. And I can understand when you say like you just reaching it now, because I'm just reaching mine now too. It's been like probably 3 4 years now, with just certain things just hit you in life where it just make you want to transform your life itself. It takes a lot, and so I understand what you're saying.
It's not easy
It's
either. And
not.
it's continual work. It don't stop. The work don't stop.
It don't. And then especially the part when you were saying about being having an uncomfortable feeling. A lot of times that uncomfortableness, I've said it so many times to so many people, is actually a good feeling if you really think about it, because it's like you trying something new, but yet it's going to blossom into something so amazing that you've never done before. And that's where a lot of it comes from. You get far, real far.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
It gets real far. So, with you helping so many people unlock their power and everything, don't you find yourself still unlocking your own power by helping others?
No, yes, definitely. That's what I was saying. Like the work never stops. It's
Yes,
continual. But I think once you're in it, like I said, not only does it create a certain level of freedom, it brings a certain level of gratitude.
yeah,
Because even if all that I do, even if it's just one person whose life was changed, I'm satisfied because I understand that this is what it's all about. I understand that it's not about me. My gifts, my talents is not just for me. It's not even about me. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? It's about others. And a lot of times, and I know people like, sometimes I do get to the point to where, I'm like, I just want to quit. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
oh, I don't know. But something always happens to where someone will say something, someone or whatever. I'll run into somebody and, or one of my coaching clients, one of my real estate clients, they'll say something, they'll do something, and I'll be like, okay, God,
okay.
this is why
Yeah,
I'm doing what I do, because ultimately It's not about me.
It's that reminder, man. That reminder is something else. It could sneak up on you.
Oh yeah,
You
you
like,
know.
wait, what? Yeah,
Right.
it definitely can. So, if people wanted to have coaching with you or utilize any of your services, how can they get in contact with you?
Yes, absolutely. I am on all social media platforms. K Ready Empowers is my website. So K, my first name, my last name, K Ready Empowers with an S at the end.com, or you can go to kready.com. Either way, you are able to reach me. But again, Facebook, K Ready Empowers, Instagram, same thing. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube. So it's not hard to find me.
Yes, for sure. So, if you wanted to leave here with something today that will help someone to be able to unlock their power and they find themselves stuck and they keep repeating the stuckness, how could you help them with your words closing out to be unstuck and unlock their power?
I would say to that person is to stop, to stand. So just completely stop, stand still, take a deep breath, and then begin to go through the piece, starting with the prayer. Because here's the thing, that you are more valuable than you ever can imagine. And no matter what someone has said or done to you in the past, you have to remember that your past, it was not to paralyze you and keep you stuck, but use your past to push you forward into your purpose, because there is power on the inside of you that's waiting to escape. You just have to be intentional, consistent, and dedicated with determination, and you will get there.
Man, that is so true. That is so true. You got to have me thinking about that too.
Yeah.
No, even though you accomplish a lot of things and you do a lot, you still go through processes of unlocking your power. You still experience storms. You still experience a lot of things, and it never goes anywhere. Like it just doesn't go. You get a break, but it still don't go anywhere. But that was a beautiful message. It really was. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Such a refreshing podcast. Like, you are amazing, and I know that with what you're doing, that you are going to go far. That you are just on the beginning stages. I don't know where you are in your business. I don't know how much you have accomplished. Even if you have accomplished a lot of things, this is just the beginning for you. That you have so much more in store for you that you don't even understand it. And even where people have doubted you and doubted your abilities, they don't understand the power that is backing and pushing you. And you are going to be a testament of what others said that you couldn't do or couldn't be. God is going to show them who He is through you. I'm telling you, I can see
Thank
so much for you that it would literally blow your mind where God is getting ready to take you because of your obedience and because of you not giving up in spite of everything you've been through, because you have a story, and it's a lot of stuff that tried to stop you and block you, even concerning your podcast, but you pushed through.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Kay.
You're
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love when my guests usually gives me inspiring words and everything. I know we usually talk before the actual podcast and we like vibe together and everything, but the fact that it's not even just with me, it's just the fact of seeing someone is a difficult thing for a lot of people to do. And for you to actually see me, it means a lot to me. And I really appreciate you because I see you too.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to Life Her podcast. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please subscribe on YouTube and all of the other major platforms where you can listen to all other inspirational podcasts. And y'all, they be dropping gems. You can get inspired, you can feel uplifted, you can just feel good about you, and you can get confirmation on things that you've been thinking already on a daily basis. Thank you and good afternoon. I can't even say good night. All right, bye, y'all.